Hey, that's CJ on the track.
Governor of college football hat on check. Got a little workout gear on check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. On today's docket, Nick Saban comeback rumors. Did Miss Terry really almost spark a return to coaching? We'll get into that a little bit later. DJ Lagway embraces the pressure. Florida QB1 said pressure is a privilege, but will that hold when Miami and FSU roll into town? Notre Dame quarterback dilemma. What's going on? CJ Carr versus Minchey. Who's going to be their starting quarterback? And we know that Catholics versus convicts game is coming up. Bryce Underwood watch. Can he lead Michigan this upcoming season? Will he be the guy at quarterback? Really a $1 million question. Also, Ohio State quarterback chaos. Is it Sayin? Is it Kienholz? This is something that I've been speculating on this show. I know other people kind of believe that, hey, this really isn't a true quarterback controversy. They just doing it just to be doing it. And John Mateer talks about Oklahoma QB legacy. Also on today's docket, we're going to look at Governor Reacts. Virginia Tech has been accused of sideline tampering. Like, it's one thing to tamper and be like indirect with your tampering. It's a whole nother thing when you tampering and you right there on somebody's sideline. We're going to talk about that. Also, for governor ruling, we're going to get into my favorite media days of 2025. And then we hit 3 this media day cycle. It was pretty cool. We hit Big 12 in Frisco, ACC in Charlotte, and then of course the American, we hit that in Dallas. And then for the around the nation, we want to talk about why Nico Iamaleava really left Tennessee. We've heard his camp speak, we've heard Tennessee speak, but now it's kind of time to hear Nico Iamaleava speak, and he did that at Big 10 Media Days. Governor of College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ on the
Defensive
track.
minds. They have to be better on that side of the ball. We are back at home base. What a time to be alive for college football fans. Truly. We just went through a media day cycle. You know, if you make college football content, this is the time you want to make content. I know, I always talk about, being a 1%er here at CFB Nation. We always talk about no off season, but what a cool time, truly. What a cool time to make college football content. We got so many talking points. We were at Big 12 Media Days. We're at ACC Media Days. We was at American Media Days. And I'm kind of going to rank, my favorite media days, but there's a few people I want to shout out. Shout out to Matt Inser from the Big 12. Shout out to, is it Kenneth Davis from the ACC? My apology if I said your name incorrectly. Actually, I'm going to check my email now to make sure that I said your name correctly. Kevin Davis. He got the same name as me. Shout out to Kevin Davis from the ACC. Matt Inser from the Big 12. And I forgot who it was from the American, and I should know this by heart. And a lot of time, I don't even want to say it. It doesn't say who. It just said, well, shout out to the American Media Relations team. Shout out to those respective conferences, and I'm shouting those conferences out. Sunbelt also invited us to Media Days. Mountain West invited us to Media Days. We got a bunch of invites, but the ones we attended, I wanted to shout them out. Also, shout out Amanda Brooks from ESPN. She made it possible for me to interview some of the, the movers and shakers in the industry, the people who really do this at an extremely high level. So shout out to her. I just wanted to shout out some people out who made this possible, and also, and most importantly, shout out to my team. Shout out to the gang. Shout out to CFB Nation. I truly appreciate y'all. It's been one hell of a cycle. This been a life-changing media day cycle. I think it's important, that I mentioned that. But anyways, back at home base, into the news. I'm sorry we haven't been putting out episodes as often as I would like, but the travel schedule interrupts that. We will be visiting a few fall camps. I'm waiting for our chief communication strategist. Deshaun Minor is his real name, but Moon Vibes is what you guys know him as. I'm waiting for him to hit me up and figure out what me and Mike go on, to begin our fall camp tour. We got quite a few schools that we talked to at the American that want us to come out, so we're going to definitely do that. And then one of the main things in us coming out is the ability to be able to stream and get you this show live. I got a few programming updates. We used to go live at 4 p.m. The new time is 11 a.m. It just works best with the schedule. So 11 a.m. So also, instead of going live 4 days a week, we're going live 5 days a week. It's time to pump up the volume. During the season, it may go back down to 4 because Friday will probably end up being a travel day as we decide where we're going for this tour. Also, speaking of the tour, the 2025 CFB Nation Tour needs a sponsor. So if you want to sponsor our tour, you want us to wear your gear on the sidelines, you want, your company name to be on our lower third and on our ticker, let us know. We are doing a tour. Also, 2025 CFB Nation will be doing a poll. We're going to try to release it at the same time AP released their poll. Not only is it, the people in CFB Nation, also we are pulling from other people who are going to be pollers from other entities, respected people as well. We got some huge names. I don't know if they want their privacy protected. I'll let them decide if they want to announce that they are, one of the people who's polled for our CFB Nation poll. We got a unique way of doing it, and we are true college football fans. And I think you'll see that with our poll. We're not going to agree on everything. We'll argue on some things, and maybe we'll even do our own, college football playoff committee, when it comes down to it. But I think what you will see with the poll that we are doing, you're going to see we truly care about the sport. And some teams that typically wouldn't get love will probably get love in our poll. So Nick Saban finally addresses, the comeback rumors. Is the GOAT really done? And I don't know. I think he's done. I know Nick Saban enjoys golfing, and his current job allows him to do that. And of course, with Miss Terry's permission, because he got to do his housely duties around the house. But we've been hearing a lot, and Lane Kiffin was kind of the person who kicked this off. And it kind of floated around, and Colin Cowherd was saying that he could make an NFL comeback. And you kind of see that he would love to do NFL again. I mean, he even says that, he would do it over, over the college level. And I can't blame anybody, even though I always say that the GM position at the collegiate level, is the most lucrative, position on all of college sports, because all of the nuances, as it pertains to, coaching at college football, all of the recruiting you got to do, your schedule sucks. We even have Auburn friends questioning Hugh Freeze and the time that he spends out on the green. That's really none of their business. It is, if he's not winning ball games, but he's done the work. He's got talent there. So I think, only way that Nick Saban could have, answered this question as he addressed it, publicly. I never really had a thought until Miss Terry made me sweep downstairs. That's when he kind of really thought about returning to coaching. But I know he's enjoying what he does on College Game Day. And he's added a sense of respectability. Not that the show wasn't respected before he got on there, but integrity, just being able to hear it from a coach's perspective, you know what I mean? And when you're the GOAT, and I think he's the GOAT, and I think many people in this sport believe he's the GOAT, when he speaks, everybody listens. And I think they have the perfect panelists, Reese Davis being a master of ceremony for College Game Day. Then you got Kirk Herbstreit. He's been there for so long. He's like the staple. He's who we trust on that show. Same thing with Desmond Howard. He's been there for a while. Then you got Pat McAfee who's going to bring that energy, but the person that's going to really bring you that validity, that's Nick Saban. And, I love that. And I think he loves it as well. DJ Lagway isn't feeling the pressure, and he's loving it. I look at this college football season and last college football season, I think we had quite a few surprises. I don't think, I think there were some teams we were truly high on that didn't end up panning out. Some teams we weren't, the highest on. Arizona State is one of those teams that just kind of came out of nowhere, but that's really the makeup of the Big 12. But if there's a team this year I'm looking at, and I'm much higher on than a lot of entities are, shout out to my boy Nino. He was first at his way first last season, but I'm really high on Florida. And, of course it was, SEC Media Days a few weeks ago. But you look at what he did last year, six. I think what was he like 6-1 as a starter, something crazy like that. Really 6-0 because the Georgia game he did get hurt. But you look at his abilities and you look at somebody with a ceiling that is high. It's probably only a few quarterbacks in the nation you may argue that has a higher ceiling. You may say Lenore Sellers has a higher ceiling. You may say Arch Manning has a higher ceiling, but when you look at what he's able to do and how he's able to dominate the game, and at the collegiate level, when you really need a dual threat quarterback in order to win a lot of ball games, the sky's the limit for DJ Lagway. And he said it himself. He said pressure is a privilege. Lagway said at SEC Media Days, and I truly believe him when he says that. But Florida can be dynamic this upcoming season. I believe Billy Napier has truly figured it out, and he already had it figured out as far as how to construct a roster, how to build the roster. I think the element element, we got to see a glimpse behind the curtain, listening to the old ball coach and say, hey, I think you need to tidy up on things. Tidy up can be, that verbiage or that vernacular can be, utilized in a myriad of ways. But the way that I took it, it was like, hey, we need more discipline. I think Billy Napier, when I say he's figuring it out, I think he's figuring out from a discipline perspective. And if they can minimize turnovers, they can minimize flags, I think Florida can be extremely dangerous this upcoming year. So Notre Dame quarterback battle, who you guys got? You guys think Carr's going to win it, or you think Minchey's going to win it? It's interesting. Insiders do say that Kenny Minchey has outplayed him in actual practices. Fall camp is coming up, and if this isn't one of the most anticipated positional battle headed into the season, and while most people will be paying attention to the battle, I'll be paying attention to Marcus Freeman. Every press conference will be scrutinized. He's going to get asked that question every press conference. And if you guys been watching the show for a while, you know that I'm a huge proponent of name the starter, I say by the end of first week, early second week, name the starter. That starter can get the appropriate reps that they need and get ready for week one. And the team can now build. Like the wide receivers who spent time working with both quarterbacks, and I know who's going to start, can spend more time working with who's actually going to get start. The offensive line can get used to that quarterback's cadence 100%. That way there's not a lot of false starts. There's a lot of nuances and playing the quarterback position. And I actually had that conversation with quite a few quarterbacks at the American Media Days this past week. So there's a lot of nuances for all of these, teams who are having, quarterback battles. The coaches, I challenge you to make a decision fast, because I've seen it go the opposite way. I look at, 2023 Ohio State as an example, and even though they had a pretty good season, the Kyle McCord, Devin Brown thing, they were truly divided, and you shouldn't be divided. And talking about we're divided heading into week one, at first I'm like, this is really a smoke screen, but if you look at the play, Kyle McCord never looked as comfortable as he did at Syracuse this past year. And I know some of you will probably point out the competition element. No, Kyle McCord was just a hell of a passer, but it's not cool when you have to look over your shoulders, and you can look a coach in their eye or a staffer in their eye, and you could tell who really supports you and who really rocking with the other guy. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you're able to see that. So I don't want to see that. I think we seen Auburn do it a couple of years ago as well, when they was trying to figure out who's going to be the guy between Robbie Ashford and Peyton Thorne. And it just, I don't know. I don't like when they bleed into the regular season. Michigan, what's going on with Michigan? Let's take a trip to Ann Arbor. Bryce Underwood. I think we look at Bryce Underwood, we look at, the upside. We look at, the physicality. We look at his scrambling ability. We look at how strong his arm is. But, heading into this season, Michigan's got a lot going on. Sharon Moore does have a suspension to serve. The fact that he was able to choose his game, he's going to be suspended so he doesn't miss his return to Norman for that game versus Oklahoma, a school that he played at. You look at the fact that, this might be a freshman starting at the quarterback position. Now, I don't think it's a case closed thing, but I think this one is probably more closed than like the Ohio State one or the Notre Dame one. The Ohio State one, I think I'm leaning 60-40, maybe 65-35 Julian Sayin, but he's going to have to go earn it. Like if it's close, it'll be Sayin. If, Kienholz out playing him a little bit, it still might be Sayin, but if Kienholz really dominates him in this fall camp, there's no way that coaching staff's not going to say, hey, we're going to go with Lincoln, even though, the bag has been put up, for Julian Sayin. And then speaking of which, we kind of led into this, we kind of segue into this. Ohio State got a decision to make at quarterback. I think it's interesting, when we look at this, I can look at this and say that, hey, yeah, Sayin should be the guy. He should be, but who actually earns the spot is the player that's going to get the job. They need someone who can feature Myles Smith early and often. They got a new offensive coordinator. Well, he's been there, but he's a new offensive coordinator. New system, massive week one game versus Texas. Who's going to be the guy? I am leaning Sayin, but I can't erase in my mind what I seen Lincoln Kienholz do this past spring season. I can't erase what I seen him do in the spring game. I can't erase the thoughts of people talking about it like, hey, this thing is actually a competition. Listening to the insiders who's actually in Columbus and go to all of the practices, they're saying this thing is closer than what people are saying. I think the people outside of Columbus, we're just looking at the bigger name and say, hey, Sayin should win this. But when you really do your research, I think this thing is closer than a lot of people believe. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about today is John Mateer. He's eyeing legacy at Oklahoma. I'm actually using Oklahoma in one of my dynasties, the biggest user dynasty that I'm in. I think it's about 20 some odd users in there. We're undefeated right now, and I'm truly enjoying using them. I wish I used their playbook, but I'm the type of guy, like, I'll play around with teams because I do like Ben Arbuckle's system. Just a few playbooks I like on there. I like Zach Kitley's playbook a lot too. Shout out to Zach Kitley, man. I had a fire interview with him at ACC Media Days. I'm sorry, at the American Media Days. I wish I recorded it because my only complaint about the American, they didn't provide us with the Ethernet cord. But that'd be something that I send to them, like, hey, next year, can we please? Because we're live, it's video, it's not audio. So you can get away with it if you're just recording, and then you can upload the recordings and then release it how you want to release it, like SiriusXM was able to do. But when you live and you're recording with video, as my phone just slapped me, it's a little bit different, but John Material want that legacy. You look at Oklahoma, you look at their rich tradition at the quarterback position. John Material want to be one of those guys. So it'll be interesting to see how things pan out for him. Oklahoma has a really tough schedule, but I believe that in them. They're in my top 25. We'll see if they'll make CFB Nation's inaugural top 25. But it should be interesting. That is it for the Into the News segment. We're going to move on to Governor Reacts. Alrighty, so for our Governor React segment, Virginia Tech caught on the sideline. Were they really caught? Yes or no? We don't know. But let's say this off the rip. Let me say this off the rip. Connor Stallions wasn't the first, and he damn sure won't be the last. He was just really the first to get caught and publicized. I'm going to say that right now. The amount of competitive edge that happens in collegiate sports is probably worse than all other sports. When we think about competitive edge, the only thing is closer is to baseball. We know sign stealing happens in baseball. It's been happening since the beginning of time. We know pitchers, whatever edge they can get on, that curveball curving a little bit more, or that slider dropping a little bit more, that change up pitch, hitting a little bit different. Whatever, they can use for competitive edge. And baseball is such a long season. We talk about 162 games. I watch it during the postseason, regular season. If I'm at a ball game, then that's different. I enjoy locally here going to the Fred Nats games, but I don't know. I think competitive edge, stein stealing has been such a thing in college football, and it was kind of archaic when we think about it. The fact that they didn't have a green dot system, the fact that they were using so many signs on the sideline, and some of which is to be able to use tempo, but to me, you're kind of showing your hand. You got all these stupid signs up. We know some of it is dummy signs, but coaches have, some of these coordinators have been in so many systems that they're able to figure it out. And it really is, like, we talk about competitive edge. We've seen the kid Owen McCown recently. I don't know the truths to these, but Jalen was able to sit down with him. Of course, he didn't ask this question because we do lead with integrity here at CFB Nation. But it was rumored that one of the Memphis players, UTSA, got some of their signs. Like I say, I think this happens at the collegiate level more than people realize it happens. I mean, hell, it even happened at the Pee-wee level. I played youth football, and on our bye weeks, we went to other people's games. We'll be dressed in clothing, not mirroring it. Our Coach James, and Coach Anthony will always have one of their staffers. Hey, man, you can't come to the game this week. Go record somebody else's game to get a competitive edge. Now, of course, you say, well, Governor, this kind of scouting that's different from sign stealing. If they can figure out any type of things, different keys, calls, motions, something that signifies who's even giving these players to coaches. Because sometimes the coach had the wide receiver come on the sideline, and coach would get a wide receiver to play, and then a wide receiver run and be like, okay, that's the play, and then run and give it to the quarterback. Anything for a competitive edge, a lot of times these people are going to do to gain a competitive edge. My question for NC Central is, why is this just coming up? Why? I mean, because at the end of the day, the player, they were scouting a running back. I forgot what running back it is. He did commit to Virginia. And Virginia Tech was there. Apparently, they were there. Allegedly, they were there to, look at the assistant athletic director there at NC Central. They were scouting him. But in reality, according to the allegations, that they were there to scout that stud running back. This is crazy to me because Trey Oliver, coach of NC Central, I don't take him as a guy that'll just make this up. That'll just, want a sound bite or just want something to sound cool. I don't take him as that type of guy. And this is what I can say about this. And this is what I will say about this. Because I proposed a question. Why didn't he say nothing? A lot of times where we come from, we taught not to say something. We taught to mind our business. But I guess it just kept bothering him enough. He felt like it was time to say it. And I don't know. I don't know. He was on my sideline recruiting our running back. The invasion, the disrespect, the breaking of a code. I'm going to say this right now. They said the staffer was there to allegedly visit with George Smith. That's NC Central's assistant AD. But that's not pretend. If you're on an FCS sideline, the mid-November game, and you are there for a staffer, like at some point in NC Central mind, why didn't they say, yo, is he really in for them? Like, why he got to come to a game to see what's up with our assistant AD? Like, think about it. Like, why do we, like, sometimes you got to smarten up. Sometimes you got to be a little bit of street smart to run this. And I'm going to say this. If I'm ever granted the opportunity to coach, and I find out somebody on the sideline doing something foul, that will be the last day of me working. Because I promise you, I will place hands and feet upon them. I wish I would catch somebody. Like, it's already hard enough at the FCS level. We know the amount of tampering and poaching that goes on, especially at the G5 level, where, like, if you got a player that's on Bryce, and I say Bryce is struggling, but he's a star player, more than likely he's leaving. But that FCS level, you get somebody like, I forgot, was it Virginia State or Virginia Union had the kid, I think his name was Jada Byers last year. It was really nice. He just happened to be a senior, so, he didn't enter the portal or anything. But imagine at that level having a stud and the amount of poaching that goes on. In my opinion, some people may take this differently, but this is how I see it. If you want to try to tamper with one of my players, poach one of my players, at least had a decency, you know what I'm saying? Had some decency or some integrity in you being a scumbag, right? Try to do it behind my back. Be in their DMs, emails, call them, reach out to the family. Have some level of integrity with you being a scumbag. But for you, if this is true, to have the audacity to come on my field, we welcome you into our home, which was stupid in C Central. Why he got to come visit the AD during a Saturday game? That don't make sense. At some point, would Jay-Z say, Spartan up, Nas, I can divide, you know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, you got to have some street intelligence. We're going to put that to the side. But for you to stoop to the lowest level of scumbags, to disrespect me at the highest form, you're going to disrespect me? You're going to come on my field while I'm trying to coach and play my game, and you're going to be talking to my running back, bro, I'm going to snuff you. I'm going to 100% snuff you. I'm going to punch you, bro. And it's going to take about 4 or 5 of the players, not even the coaches, to pull me off. Bro, I'm going to lay hands and feet upon you if I catch you doing that, bro. Like, have integrity in being a scumbag. We know how much this scumbag activity happens in the sport. We always talk about the semantics of the sport on this show. I love this sport. It's the pure sport that there is. This game is so pure during the fall, bro. But some of the scumbag activity, that's like, I don't know, man. Like, Pusha T just said it. What song was it? Chains of Whips. He said, you think there'll be valor amongst veterans. There should be some type of code, I think, that, listen, if you're going to be a scumbag behind my back, bro. But to be a scumbag in front of my face, man, I have the utmost respect. And then the running back name that just hit me was, I think, Jamari Taylor. He ended up going to UVA, but there should be valor amongst veterans. There really should be. Like, if you gonna poach my player, be a scumbag, poach my player, do what you gotta do it behind my back, bro. But if you come on my sideline and you try to talk to my stud running back, and then I know Trey Taylor, I know his spidey sense is going up. Like, he here to talk to the AD, so he probably talking to the administration like, why he come in here mid-November game to speak to the AD? Couldn't they just did that like during the week? He could have interviewed him, Skype, Zoom, if you want to interview him in person. Why he gotta come to the game? And me as a coach, I'm on the sideline, I'm preparing. I'm like, yo, he getting real close to Taylor, ain't he? He getting like super close to Taylor. Like, what's, I'd have peeped it, I'm like, come here, Like, he'd have got snuffed, bro. I promise you. He'd have got snuffed. And then a few weeks later, Jamari Taylor hits the portal. First contact came from Virginia Tech. Where does he not end up? Virginia Tech. Where does he go? Virginia. And Oliver made sure to twist the knife. Thank God he went to UVA, and UVA is going to beat the smoke out of them other folks. But this ain't new. Let's be honest. This type of activity ain't new. I know a lot of us want to think Connor Stallions was the first. Connor Stallions was one of the major first ones that got caught. I told you guys, it happens in youth sports too. that competitive edge. But I think there's a difference in trying to attain competitive edge and just being an outright scumbag. That was scumbag activity if it were true. I got to be careful with my vernacular, because if it's not true, then I just sit here and went on a 10-minute spiel about snuffing a dude. But like I say, I don't take their coach as the type of guy that'll make something up like that. Now, why did he wait so long? I kind of get it, but it is what it is. So we got a couple examples of poaching, but people who had integrity with their scumbag poaching. Darian Mensah is one of the first ones that come to mind. Into the portal, Duke already had the money ready for him. That's coincidence? Nah, that's tampering. That's poaching. We know it. But it's integrity with being a scumbag. Josh McCray, Illinois running back. We heard Brett Bielema speak on this recently. All of a sudden, he was just fine. Things in Champaign are going well. I think Illinois is one of the sneaky best teams in the country. I do have them in my college football playoff. As for now, things can change after fall camp. But how can he be in Champaign, into the portal, Athens, which is a far ways away from Champaign, 12 hours later, he's in Athens, and he's Georgia's running back. Science field delivered. Is it tampering? Is it coincidence? No, it's tampering, bro. It's 100% tampering. BYU, several sources said they were trying to get Utah players that weren't in the portal. Yeah, that's tampering. Tennessee, we saw Tennessee do it. Tennessee backdoor poached Avery Johnson at K-State. Avery Johnson went in the portal, and they did the same thing with Josh Hoover. Both elite quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks are probably leaps and bounds better than the quarterbacks that Tennessee has on their roster. So can I blame Tennessee? No. Should Tennessee be penalized? Yes. But they shouldn't be penalized as harshly as Virginia Tech if this is found as true. Because that's a new level of being a scumbag, bro. It's 100% a new level of being a scumbag. And then we haven't even gotten to the Xavier Lucas and Jeff Ratzlaff situations where they weren't in the portal, withdrew from their schools, and ended up at other schools. We need a commission. I've been on record for saying this time and time again. We do need a commission. We all know we need a commission. We really do, because the NCAA not going to hold this accountable because it's not what the NCAA wanted. And I respect that. I really do. I know a lot of y'all going to have an issue with that, but I respect it. They didn't want this. They didn't want this pay-for-play bull crap. They didn't. They wanted the respect to amateurism. So if we're going to sit here and expect NCAA to hold these teams accountable, that's not their job, because that's not what they want. But let's get a commission. And I know on Overreaction Monday, I saved this question for tonight. We saw what, Trump signed off on, banning the third-party NIL thing. And I'm a huge fan of it. I don't want to get too much into it because we're going to talk about it at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Overreaction Monday, over at CFB Nation. But like I said, I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to have a commission. I would love to see Nick Saban head the commission. I'm not sure if that's something you'll be interested in, but we need somebody that says, regardless to my affiliations, Kirk Herbstreit, I think, will be great. Because if there's somebody who, I watch an Ohio State game and Kirk Herbstreit is calling, you'll forget that he likes Ohio State. But somebody that's going to do it with a great deal of integrity, that's going to hold schools accountable. Hey, if you violate these rules, and it's in black and white, there's no gray areas. We try to stay away from the gray areas, but it's in black and white. You should 100% be held accountable. We do need some type of commission. I agree with that. So we do need real enforcement. I don't want to say, like I said, I don't want the NCAA to do it, but we need it. So a part of this commission, Tampering Task Force, transfer portal timelines, every coach that I've spoken with over the past several weeks have said we want one portal. Every last one of them have said it. It was one of the things, that Coach Zach Kitley said immediately. Yeah, we need one portal. Said it ASAP. I'm making a bold take tonight about FAU on Overreaction Monday. So y'all watch that. I know I'm teasing the show a lot, but you guys should watch that. And there should be penalties, man. I'm not certain if, I guess it depends on it. Yes, you should lose scholarships, or, maybe your academic calendar should be pushed back. Maybe you should lose a week or two of spring camp, or lose a week or two of fall camp. Maybe you should start behind teams if you're caught doing some of this scumbag activity. Like I said, you get caught tampering the way Tennessee was tampering, right? Players that weren't in the portal. Should it be a strong penalty? Yes. Should it be as strong as the scumbag activity that Virginia Tech is being accused of? No. I think it's levels to it. I truly do believe it's levels to it. But like I said earlier, if I'm Emma coach But that's why you got to have good assistants around you and people who trust and people who can hold you accountable. Because I'm sure that's what happened with Coach Trey, that there was good people around him say, yo, don't lose your job over this. Because I promise you, like only people that know me, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think Moon knows me well enough now. But like Mike, how they know me, more Weeze, how they know me, like, you just know. Like, I remember we were at Big 12 Media Days, and one of the mascots was like, who would be cool if I take their hat off and I put this on? He's like, do it. He's like, yeah, you should probably do it to Moon. Don't do it to him. You just gotta have people around you that know you well enough. Because if that happened, I know if Weeze and Maul and Mike are on my staff and they think I suspect somebody is doing scumbag activity that Virginia Tech was being, they would have came over, they'd have just seen it in my face. Like, yo, let me holler at you real quick. They'd have just removed me from the situation, because I promise you I would have snuffed them. But the question that I had to NC Central is why wait this long. That's the overall arching question that I have. But this tampering ain't new. Teams gaining a competitive edge isn't new. If you are stupid enough to allow your signs to be stolen, then your signs should be allowed to be stolen. But there should be more accountability on who in the hell is on my sideline. Truly, it should be. Like, you know, you a new camera dude. I mean, hey, who you with? Are you with CFB Nation? Okay. Are you with this? Okay. But if you sound like you just made up a fake name and we just credentialing anybody to be over here on our sidelines where our players are being recruited, like I said, the school has to hold some onus in that. They really do. Let's move on to the next segment. Governor's ruling. Alrighty, shout out to everybody in here watching the show today. It feels good to be back at home, even though I won't be at home long, because we are going to start this fall camp tour. But I will be giving you guys live episodes from wherever we do fall camp at. Like I said, I'm waiting to hear from our chief communication strategist, Moon, and see where he'll be sending me and Mike. But governor ruling, this one is a special one. My favorite 2025 media days. This has been an amazing media day cycle, and I said it on Twitter. I said it on X yesterday when Mike had at me and Moon and the CFB Nation and his credentials. But this cycle has truly been amazing, and the only words I can use for it, if I can describe it in 2 words, is life altering. Like, to do this and to want to do this full time as we attain to do at CFB Nation, you know, it takes being able to take risk and to be able to, you know, figure it out and figure out a way. So, you know, truly shout out to the Big 12, ACC, American, Sun Belt, Mountain West, MAC, all of the conferences. We didn't attempt to with the Big 10 because we knew it was during ACC media days, and the SEC were finally, you know, allowed to be on their server. So we should be credentialed for the next one. But you know, anyway, it is what it is. But this has been life altering, and to see my guy Mr. Rogers from the Cotton Bowl, one of the executives there, we saw him at Big 12, we saw him at ACC, we saw him at American, and I walked up on him like, you following us? And he was like, no, I was just telling somebody about you guys, how hard you guys work. He was like, I've seen you everywhere. Well, that's the goal in being CFB Nation. We try to cover everything. So this is truly being a life-changing cycle, and, you know, I can't wait to bring you guys more content like that. And I think the weirdest thing that I realized during this cycle is that this sport is so criminally undercovered. It's crazy. Like, if the NFL, let's say the NFL did media days, right? Let's say the NFL did media days by not even conferences. Let's say they did it by divisions, or even if they did it by conference. The AFC had one media days where they send out their top players and they send out, you know, the coaches, and you're able to go to this event and talk to the event. The numbers would be shattering. I'm talking about it'd probably be, you know, the amount of credential requests that these conferences get. Of course, the SEC probably got the most in the Big 10, but however many the SEC got, times that by 100 or 1,000, amount of people who want to attend like an NFC credential, like an NFC media day, or like an AFC media day. So the first thing I noticed is that it's still criminally undercovered. Even a conference like the Big 12. We were there on Radio Row. Yes, there was a lot of people there, but the amount of entities that were going live and providing live coverage, it wasn't a lot. It may have been us and one other entity, but, you know, most of that, you know, people were doing video, But, most of it was just people recording either audio or video and then uploading it later. But we were live, and we allowed you guys to see it from our perspective, from our scope. That's one of the things in doing this that we wanted to do, is give you guys kind of like a look behind the curtains, because we don't like gatekeeping here at CFB Nation. We don't. So that's my first order. And even at ACC, I'm going to speak about the ACC later. And the ACC has long been my favorite media days. That's changed. We'll talk about it. But even then, I think we're the only entity doing live from Radio Row. Like, giving people that live content. And at the American, there were 4 entities on Radio Row. But the ones who were like really putting the work in was us and Sirius XM. But there were still, limitations on what Sirius XM could do, because, they were recording the audio and then uploaded it. We did have some limitations with not having an Ethernet cord, so we were using my phone as like a hotspot in order to give you guys the content. So we was get freezing, but as long as the audio worked, we know that you guys as pure college football fans, as those 1%ers I always talk about, you guys didn't care. You guys were just glad to have the content. But that, like I said, that's my only complaint about the American. So let's get into it. My favorite media days. So let's take a look behind, the curtain. Like I said earlier, this one was, special, transformational, eye-opening. Coming in at number 3, we got ACC football kickoff in Charlotte, North Carolina. I started at the bottom of the podium. Don't get it twisted. I was grateful to be there. The Hilton Charlotte Uptown was a beautiful venue, and being on Radio Row was a blessing. It truly was. But I'm going to hold the ACC accountable. The media days of that time of the year, if you're a team and, you're trying to do that marketing for your team, I always go back to the movie The Program. And, when they were doing their marketing for quarterback, I think his name was Joe Kane in the movie, and it was like, Kane is able. That was the marketing thing that was doing for him, winning a Heisman, or at least think, the preseason hype for him to win the Heisman. This is a great way, a great vehicle for your team to be able to get the push that it needs. Now, there's a few programs I'll omit from this. Clemson, even though we have a fantastic relationship with Clemson, Clemson lets us take as many people as we want there every week. I'm going to omit them because of the hype that Clemson's getting. Clemson is arguably the best team in the country. I'll put them to the side. North Carolina, not that they're the best team in the country, but Bill Belichick, I've never seen the media circus that I've seen at any media days that Bill Belichick got. Jalen sent me a picture. I wish I had the picture readily available for you guys. But it was crazy, because you had the main auditorium, you had breakout rooms, and then they had to have on, I think like the 4th floor, they had private meetings with him and local, Tar Heel media, so they can talk to him. But you talking about like the minute, I think Duke was the team before them, the minute that they left, it was a free for all of people trying to run, get there and get them a close seat to ask Bill Belichick questions. So I'll omit Clemson, I'll omit North Carolina, but now I'm talking to the rest of the programs. I always like to start with the good. Shout out to Cal. We talked to everybody that came for Cal, even to Coach Wilcox. Coach Justin Wilcox was the only coach we talked to at ACC Media Days. 17 teams. Our chief strategist, Moon, emailed each and every last one of them to get representation. Some schools like, hey, we're booked. It's cool. They sent us 1 players. Now, that's what Miss Annabelle Myers, and I try not to give out SID names, but Annabelle Myers, shout out to her, and NC State did. It's like, hey, we're booked. We're seeing 1 player. We're not going to be there that long. But to all the other programs, omitting Clemson and North Carolina, also shout out to Wake Forest. They sent us all of their players. Shout out to Syracuse. And I just shouted out NC State, who sent us what they could. But for all the other programs who are building, trying to market their team, Media Days is that opportunity. I understand you got time commitments and you just got to be back at this time. But if the ACC sends you an email and lets you know that, hey, all of these media outlets will be on Radio Row, they will be sending you an email for requests. Stanford, yo, how many people talking about Stanford football right now in a positive light? This could have been an outstanding opportunity for you to send your players, hey, this is CFB Nation. I think we're the only live video entity at ACC Media Days. Send your players there. They're going to have a ball. You have no clue how many players say, hey, this is the best interview I've ever had. Whether it's me, Jalen, or Moon, because we make it fun. We build them up. We make them comfortable. Like, yo, Stanford, send your players. But the fact that we didn't hear from you guys at all, that ain't a good look. It's really not a good look. I'm gonna omit Pitt because I have a great relationship with Pitt. I really do. So I'm gonna omit Pitt. We're not gonna talk to Pitt. Florida State, you went to a 10 last year, and I know you have a lot of fans down there. The Tallahassee faithful is strong. Where were you at, bro? It's media days. You kind of handpicked the tables that you decided that you were gonna go to, but yo, not responding to emails is crazy. It's bananas. So ACC. My biggest issue was the access. If this is media days and you putting us on Radio Row and it's our job, we held our end of the bargain. We got sponsors. I was talking to ESPN Radio in Richmond. They was like, yo, y'all got a sponsor for this event? I was like, yeah. I was like, y'all don't got one? He's like, no. I was like, but you're ESPN. How don't you have a sponsor for the event? And shout out to Bull Rush, by the way. I forgot to shout them out during my shout outs. I was like, so like, don't y'all have ESPN back? And he was like, I ain't gonna say who it was, but he's like, no, it's more of a free for all. Like, your number one job is to market. You push your own show. So he was just impressed the fact that, we came there, we had the sponsorship, we was live, we was doing live video. They were going live too, but it was audio. So we was like truly the only live video entity there. But it was just impressive to me that, these schools, Miami is another school I omit. Big school, a lot of people there. We got a great relationship with Miami. I will omit them, but guess what? Miami sent 2 of their players to us. That's the difference. That's what I'm saying. If you got all these commitments, send a player, send a coach. But the fact that there are 17 institutions in the ACC and we only interview 1 coach is crazy to me. That percentage, 1 out of 17, is crazy. And guess what? They would have enjoyed it. But the American, on the other hand, I'm going to talk about the American later. Bro, they were bum rushing us. They wanted interviews. They wanted their players interviewed. They wanted their coaches interviewed. Why? Because it's still criminally undercovered. So the access to me wasn't it. I did prefer when the event was at the West End. The food was better at the West End. The after parties were mid. The access was mid. The food was mid. ACC, but still shout out to my guy Jim Phillips. Jim Phillips always show love, bro. He shows so much love. Let me tell you how much love Jim Phillips showed. And it's crazy because it's not them. Like, we was able to interview Taylor Tannenbaum. Shout out to Amanda Brooks. We was able to, even Phillips came over while we were at Child. It was like, yo, I love the work that y'all do. They came over there and said that to, I don't know if it was Jalen or Maul. Somebody was at the table. It's like, hey, he came over and said, hey, I love the work that you guys do. So shout out to Jim Phillips. So Jim Phillips, this ain't a shout at you. The executive director that came on, I forgot his last name. Him and Moon had a fantastic conversation. Bro had me crying the entire time. So it ain't really the ACC per se, but I think it just needs to be more access. If media companies are going to spend our hard-earned money, we come in there to pick up your conference. Give us the access. At the Big 12, we had plethora access. You guys saw us. We were live. We were getting video bombed every 2 or 3 seconds. Just give the access. That's all that we ask. I promise you. But the access was bare bones. But shout out to ACC Network. Great coverage. Like I said, shout out to Taylor Tannenbaum. Her and I had a great discussion during the interview that I had with her. Like I said, it really isn't with the ACC. It's just the limited access. We got to fix that ACC because y'all long been my favorite media day, but not this year. All right, so now let's get to number 2 in my media day rankings for my favorites for the ones I attended. Number 2, Big 12 Media Days in Frisco, Texas, and that train was amazing, bro. It really was. It really could have been number 1, but the American is the overwhelming favorite. If you guys was paying attention, I even put it on Twitter. Big 12 Media Days. That was earlier in the month. It was at the Ford Center in Frisco, and it was a production, man. The minute we found out we had Radio Row access, we knew what type of work was going to have to put in. But being in the stadium. The only bad thing I got to say about Big 12 Media Days, these are the only bad things. The food was super mid. The worst out of all of the food. Didn't really have options for people who have specific diets. I will say the ACC goes above and beyond, and the American went above and beyond for that. I am vegan for those of you all who don't know. And they should be forced to do it. I'm just, I have some dairy. And they did have some, animal-free, dairy-free options. But it was dope. But the thing that I think that the Big 12 does really well, they put on for their players. The players come in, they have suits, and they take pictures of them in their uniforms. But guess what? They don't limit it to the staffers and the players. They invite cheerleaders. Cheerleaders were there. The mascots were there. When I tell you the mascots made it so fun, and for all media day entities, SEC probably couldn't do it because of the space, but invite these mascots and these cheerleaders out. And for the, kids who come, because I know a lot of them try to like help, Make-A-Wish Foundations and all those other corporations. They try to bring kids there. And when I tell you the mascots made it so fun, bro, like getting video bombed by the mascots was super dope. And we didn't know who we were interviewing next, and the access, like the players, like even though Moon sent out emails, the players was there, the SIDs come, oh yeah, we had y'all on our list. Hey, it's hectic right now. We was trying to get Sawyer Robinson. It was like, listen, everybody want to talk to Sawyer Robinson. I'm not sure I'll get to you. We're going to try our best. But we knew that. They told us. Shout out to TCU SID. We interviewed all the TCU's players. Shout out to Utah. Shout out to Arizona. Shout out to all of those programs. And there was one program, and I have to say this, and I hate to say this because I love this program affectionately. And it's not the players. It was not the coach. The SID that they had there for Colorado was moving like George and Wheezy, man. Like, he was out there moving like he was Nick Saban and they was Alabama. That's how he was moving. Like, that's one of my few complaints. Like, just how Colorado was moving. We didn't interview any Colorado players. Bruh kept it close. You know what I'm saying? I understand. Listen, Deion can move how he want to move. He's the biggest coach in that conference. It is what it is. So I understand why he didn't come over, especially with the health issues. I understand it 100%. But for your SID to kind of have his nose up, we try and talk to him. He act like he too busy to have a conversation with us. Yo, we know that Colorado was a huge brand, and a lot of that is thanks to Deion and thanks to players like Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. But you are at a media event. I continue to go back to this. You're at a media event. This is for your players. We know that Colorado got motion. They got hella aura right now. But at the end of the day, this is for the players. I would have loved to have a conversation with Caden Salter, and I did, and it was off camera. I even took a picture for him and his family. So, yeah, I was letting them like, yo, I've been at a lot of y'all Liberty games over the past few years. I'm happy here. I already know you about the ball out here. He's like, yeah, I appreciate it. Shout out to Andy Staples. I didn't get a chance to thank him, but at that event, shout out to Amanda Brooks again. At that event, I was able to talk to Ross Dellinger. Shout out to him. He a real cool dude, man. I just hit his email up, let him know who I was, introduce myself, let him know I'd be at, these media days. He made time for me. I truly appreciate that. Ross Dellinger. Shout out to Amanda Brooks for getting Matt Berry. Real treat talking to Matt Berry, man. He breathes college football, and he was just talking to me about the rigorous schedule. He's like, he loves what he does, but he's like, during the season, it's crazy, because they on, ESPN Scoreboard and ESPN Scoreboard Final, I think is the name of the show. He just has so much energy. Shout out to Greg McElroy. You guys heard me talk about him on this show quite a lot. Huge fan of his. So just being able to sit down and talk with them. The event was great. Having it in the stadium, it was spacious, bro. Like, nobody was crammed. Like, and I even saw people who were writing articles. They would go sit up in the bleachers, write their articles. It was just a dope time. It was a fun time. For me, nothing would have topped that. After I left the Big 12 Media Days, I said, yo, this is my favorite media days by far. Nothing could have topped it. But then coming in at number one, in Dallas, Texas, we have the American. I'm sorry, that wasn't in Dallas. I don't know why I said Dallas, because I guess I was just talking about Frisco. But then in Charlotte, North Carolina was the American. Shout out to D-Now. D-Now was the reason we put two and two together. I was like, yo, we're going to already be in Charlotte for ACC Media Days. Let me tell you, this Media Day cycle wouldn't have been the same without the American. And I can sit here and look you guys in your eyes through the camera, of course, and say it wouldn't have been the same. Like, the moment we walked in, and shout out to Mary Kay. There was a Mary Kay convention there. All the aunties was out there chilling. Hey, they was just asking us like, what is this? Like, they was trying to figure out what our event was. I already kind of knew about Mary Kay because my mom used to sell Mary Kay back in the day. I didn't even know it was still around, but it was huge. There was a lot of people out there. But I don't know, the moment you walk into the convention center, and I spoke with the people that was handing out the credentials. The first thing, like, they gave us a bunch of stuff. They gave us like this little power bank for us to charge stuff. They also gave us a book for us to take notes. They gave us a shirt that says the American. You guys will see me wear that shirt. I don't know which episode I'm gonna wear, but y'all see me wearing that shirt. It was just a different feeling when we got there. And then we're looking like where we seated at Radio Row. I was like, hey, I don't see any, like, because ACC and Big 12, they'll just have your affiliation on there. Like, even at the ACC one, I got the CFB Nation sign that they had on the table, which is dope. I should go run and grab it, but I don't feel like it. But they didn't have it, so I went and talked to them. I'm like, hey, they was like, nah, they first come, first serve. So I was like, after we set up, I'm like, yo, we'll take the two most expensive things. After that, we'll just leave our equipment here, and it was right under a camera, so we knew nobody would take it. But the feeling at American Media Days was different. Moon had reached out to all of the schools, heard back from all of the schools. I think the only school players we didn't interview or coaches, and I don't even got no beef with it because we interviewed everybody else. Everybody was fighting for time slots. For real, these SIDs was fighting for time slots with us, and that's how dope it was. We didn't, South Florida, I really wanted to talk to Alex Golish. We didn't talk to South Florida. Rice, for some reason, we didn't talk to anybody from Rice. I don't know what that was about, but they might have just had a tight time schedule. But like I said, that's neither here nor there. I'm not upset. I don't think we talked to anybody from Army. So those are the only 3 programs. Outside of that, we talked to everybody. Outside of that, and you think about how big that conference is. Shout out to Navy, man. Navy showed a lot of love. And one thing I did like about and Big 12 did it to a certain extent, but not to the level of the American. It was so many people's families there, so they got to see, dads and moms got to see their sons being interviewed, man. And how cool Blake Horvath is. I can't wait to go to Navy games this year. But his parents are cool. He's cool, man. He came up and thanked us for the interview afterwards. Because you just see these players walking around. But it was just the access, bro. And the SIDs were like, because typically there's time constraints. Like, hey, you got 5 to 7 minutes, make it happen. I was like, how much time you need, man? 5 to 7 minutes. Take as much time as you want. What? Coach Silverfield and Moon sat down and talked for like 20 minutes, bro. Shout out to Memphis SID. I don't want to say her name wrong, but I'm going to say it. Her name is Claire Johnson. She was so cool, dog. So dope. Invited us out for fall camp. So I probably will be making a trip to Memphis to go check out their fall camp. Shout out to Zach Kelly, FAU. We talked to their players. I'm telling you, Caden, I always mispronounce his last name, but that quarterback from Western Kentucky, that kid's real deal. I have a bold prediction about FAU. I'm going to say it tonight on Overreaction Monday. But just the amount of access that we had at the American Media Days, it just really hit different. The love was different. The access was different. The vibes was different. They weren't tripping. Even outside, they had like this fake little grass. We was out there throwing the ball around out there. Seeing the fan engagement, that was different because for the credential signups, you had media side and you had fan side. So I'm like, okay, maybe they'll have a lot of fans here. They had a lot of fans and family there. The food was amazing. Best out of all of the media days for sure. There's still not enough people there. 4 entities on Radio Row. Barely. I mean, there were some people there, in the main auditorium, but for the most part, it's still criminally undercovered. But that's cool. I ain't gonna gatekeep. I'm just letting y'all know that it's criminally undercovered. So the American, by far, best media days. There was no politics. There were no PR walls. It was just football access for sure. So we're gonna get into Around the Nation, why Nico left Rocky Top. I think this is going to be an interesting discussion. We've talked about it before, but I think it was the first time that we heard from him. We're going to take an ad break, and I forgot to switch the ad break, but shout out to Bull Rush. Bull Rush should be the ad break, but we're going to take a quick ad break. We'll be right back. Look at you out here using all these other sports books, and you ain't even using the best one. BetUS. Get 125% match bonus when you use the promo code CFB Nation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFB Nation. We know that college football is in the off season, even though we don't celebrate that. CFB Nation, we do college football 24/7, but there are plenty of things for you guys to bet on.
Who will have the most wins? OKC Thunder or Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka and LeBron make it all mesh to make it to the play-in tournament? Maybe you're a college basketball guy ready to risk it all for Florida to make it to the big dance.
Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory?
May is going to get popping when the Kentucky Derby hits town. BetUS has you covered in that way too, with all major horse racing events. Point is, type in that promo code CFB Nation and go get that money.
And we are back. Shout out to everybody that's watching this live right now. Program announcement, in case you missed it earlier, we're moving the show from 4 p.m. to 11 a.m. It just makes a lot more sense for my schedule and everything I'm trying to accomplish. I am doing college football content. I'm no longer at my old job. I'm doing this full time now. And from now until December, it'll be, guns blazing really with the college football content. And then we'll see where we are after that. We really will. I think and I know that we can do this full time. I know that 100%. So I'm betting on myself. And shout out to anybody that's an entrepreneur, betting on himself, do it 100%. So why Nico left Rocky Top? So it was cool seeing Nico speak his truth. It may not be your truth, may not be my truth. He was able to speak his truth, because for the longest time we were able just to sit there and kind of, speak for him, make up words for him. Like, whether you took the coach's side, whether you're a Vols fan, you'd be like, hey, shout out to the program for sticking up for the rest of the teammates and not just making this the Nico show. Whether you're on the player side, I'm always going to be on the player side, because players were mistreated for so many years. They have too much power now, I will say that, but they've been mistreated for years. So, hearing this now, I think we're able to get that middle third. We heard from Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel made it clear, and he made it simple. Hey, it's about the players on our team, not the players that isn't on our team. Shout out to the new subscriber too, just so that you subscribe. Well, anyway, hearing him being able to speak his truth, I think it was very important. I think it was, really important. When we go back and look at this situation, I remember, I think this all transpired around April 12th. I remember sitting here looking at this situation like, wow, what just happened? And then immediately my next thought was, well, where's he going to go? And I truly thought there'd be more offers. And then who's Tennessee's going to get? And I truly thought they'll have more chances. I thought, somebody entered the portal. Hey, I get to go play with Tennessee. They was just in the college football playoff last year, playing in the SEC. And neither of which were true. I think that UCLA is a great fit for Nico, to be honest with you. But, let's put a couple things in perspective. He's a West Coast kid. He's a family guy. And, me personally, as a man that understands the importance of having a village, because I truly have a village. I have a strong support system. If other people have strong support systems, they get it. They get it 100%. Like, I've had opportunities to move and go other places, but because my support system is so strong, and it's important to me to be less than a 20-minute drive away from my parents. As they're getting older, they're fine now. They're moving fine. My parents take damn good care of themselves. And happy 40th anniversary to them as well. We had a blast. We did an 80s theme party this past weekend. But, it's important to me that I'm close to them. You know what I'm saying? Just because they're getting older. That's all. And because, I have an outstanding village. But, when we look at Nico, I think he really missed being home. He really did. Now, I don't know how this impacts him, because I do believe he'll be playing on Sundays. Likelihood is you can't get drafted by whoever drafts you. So whether that's the East Coast team or not, you're going to have to find a way to either get your village over there where you're at, because, you're not going to be able to stay in Los Angeles forever unless a team in Los Angeles draft you. But let's not pretend this wasn't, complicated. Nico was the face of Tennessee. He did lead them to the college football playoff. Now, I know y'all going to say, well, Dylan Sampson did, or the defense did, or Dylan Sampson and the defense did. Well, he was the quarterback. 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, yes. And while I do think, let's say 85% of this was about being close to home, being back home, being around his family, I do believe when he says that, I believe that that's what it was mostly about. But the money had to matter. Now, one of my rules personally as a man is I don't watch other people's pocket. I don't count other people's money. That's truly one of my rules. That's one of my rules. Like, I don't count pockets. I just don't. That's not my job. Some people pocket watchers. That's not me. Ain't none of my business what you got in your pockets. It really ain't. But now, when you put in a position where you got a pocket watch, then it becomes different. Like, if I'm at a job and me and you are peers, and I'm doing a job, and I feel like I'm doing a job at a higher level than you, and then I hear that you making more money than me, then what you going, like, bruh, come on, bruh, my circle's around, bruh, I need my money. Even though personally, I don't pocket watch, I personally just know my worth and know what I want to get paid. So I think Nico looked at that, see the type of money that was being tossed around to the Arch Madness of the world, to the Darian Minces of the world, and he said, yo, where's my cheddar at? Where's my money at? And I think money did play a role. I know he said it wasn't about the money. And I think when he says it, I'm kind of going to speak for him. He said the money wasn't the number one reason. It played a role, Nico. You and I both know it played a role. How big of a role it played, I don't think it was huge. I think getting back home, being more in that family atmosphere, I think that mattered most to him. But I think the money did play a role, in my opinion. April 11th, tell Tennessee he's out. April 16th, and then the portal will do not contact. April 20th, he committed to UCLA. All of that in 9 days. Was it bigger than the bag? Yes. Did he lose out on money by leaving Tennessee to go to UCLA? Yes. But your mental stability and your happiness and your pride matters more than anything in this world to most people. So I think he's in a situation that's going to be brilliant for him. And I think you can value both family and money. I think both were important to him. They weren't equally important, but they both were important. It really is. I think if we're being honest, this is just a new era of college football. It is what it is. But I'm glad, he's healthy. He's going to dominate in this system. And I think if we look at this UCLA versus Tennessee thing, if you're not going to be looking at this situation and analyzing like, hey, what happens if UCLA wins more game than Tennessee? See, I'm that guy. And I think it can happen. As crazy as it sounds, but the Aflac kickoff is going to tell me everything I need to know. Because I think Tennessee is a better team than Syracuse. But what happens if Syracuse win? With those conversations are looking like after that, So that's kind of how I feel right there. I think UCLA is going to fly under the radar. UCLA is going to be a really good team. I enjoy using them on college football. What is it called? Road to College Football Playoff. And when I say that 7 or 8 wins is possible, in my opinion, it is possible. Because I think they can be that team. Like, we always talk about the Big 12 and how the team come out of nowhere. Now, ain't no team coming out of nowhere to win the Big 10. As good as Indiana was, they still didn't win the Big 10. But can it be a team, that we don't believe in, that was kind of the low class of the Big 10 last year, but can be a part of the middle class this year? I think UCLA. So, the story isn't just about Nico. It's about the system. Player rose to greatness. His value changed. The public learned about internal tension through leaks, and the school lost him. This is the era of college football that we're in. I think both people made the right decision for their prospective programs. I think Tennessee, what they value, what Coach Heupel valued, they made the right decision for their program. Granted, we can sit here and be critical of that decision, but they chose, hey, we're not going to choose or put one player over the team. From Nico's standpoint, hey, he chose to be back at home, close to his village. The money mattered, Nico. You can't look me in my eyes and tell me that the money didn't matter. It didn't matter a lot. It didn't matter a little bit. I think you were a little bitter about it. But, hey, both people got what they want. But I'm messy, and I love college football, so I'm going to be monitoring this situation closely. Who win more games between UCLA and Tennessee? Y'all answer that down in the comment section. How do you think this thing was handled? Do you believe Nico? Like I said, I believe Nico 99%. I really do. I just think money did play a factor. We're not going to admit it. I think he was pocket watching and seeing what other quarterbacks was getting. He was like, well, hey, I do go through the SEC gauntlet. I did just lead this team to the playoff. Where is my money on? I think it mattered to him. I truly did. So, feel good to be back home. We got another hour in the books. Don't forget, this 11 a.m. time slot is our new time slot. Don't forget, we're doing 5 episodes until the season start per week. That may not change. It may not, because we've been looking at some options. An option called Live View to be able to give you guys, like, from the stadium right after a game. Our last game, because, we're going to multiple games a day or a week. To be able to give you guys a live show from that. From there, I'm going to reach out to Moon to see what's going on with where we're going for fall camp. But as I always like to say, there are no more victories in a sport that survives and advances. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, y'all take care. But also, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll be live, same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to college football. Shout out to this media day cycle. Shout out to the ACC, the Big 12, and the American. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And we're going to do this again tomorrow. Y'all take care. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two great
CJ on
defensive
that
minds.
track.
They have to be better on that side of the ball.